Daily Live Forex Market Outlook by Trader Plato. Introduction. The purpose of the market outlook is for us all to have an elite mastery of the forex market to an advanced level. The forex market is a decentralized market that runs 24/7 from Mondays to Fridays. It has a market capitalization of approximately $8 trillion daily. Dominant and non-dominant market participants. At the top and in the middle of the hierarchy, we have the dominant market participants. That is the central banks and the large financial institutions. At the bottom, we have the non-dominant market participants. Those are the retail traders. In a nutshell, the dominant market participants make up of 95% of the market participants, while the remaining 5% are the non-dominant market participants. Those are the retail traders. This is according to research and data from the Bank of International Settlement, the Bank for Central Banks. Market mechanics. Market mechanics is a unique hybrid trading strategy that utilizes technical and fundamental constants to generate accurate trading signals. Power of 3, AMD chronological order. On Fridays, we have the accumulation phase. On Mondays, we have the manipulation phase. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, we have the distribution phase. Therefore, we do not trade on Fridays and Mondays, as these are the accumulation and manipulation phase of the market. Power of 3, AMD chronological order. The Asian session is the accumulation phase, the London session is the manipulation phase, and the New York session is the distribution phase. So we do not trade the Asian session, as this is the accumulation phase, but we are allowed to trade the London session since it sometimes overlaps with the New York session. Power of 3, candlestick pattern order. Unique candlestick reveal mass psychology that symbolizes the power of 3, the accumulation, manipulation, and distribution. Below are the images of the candlestick showcasing the mass psychology and movement of the market. We have the bullish and the bearish candlestick patterns. Liquidity and trap zones. All the market concerns about is liquidity and nothing else. Liquidity is basically points in the chart where majority of orders are pending to be filled. Thus, liquidity is the energy of the market. Without liquidity, the market will not move. These zones are as follows: yearly high and low, monthly high and low, weekly high and low, daily high and low, swing high and low. Welcome to the chart on the daily market outlook. As we are aware of, according to the market mechanics, we look out for the best zones that offer the best opportunities in price. To begin with, there are 3 types of analysis. We have the fundamental analysis, which are political events, geopolitical events, and the news that shape the market. We have technical analysis, which is the study of trends and turning points in the market. And lastly, we have sentimental analysis, which is the general feel of the market participants as to the direction of the market and how they feel about the market. So here we are going to be taking all 3 analyses into perspective so as to have a robust view of the market. The market mechanics is a trend reversal trading style, and this trading style views the market from the perspective of the buyer and the seller alike, giving us a flexibility in our analysis, so we are not rigid and we are not marrying any analysis that we have, as we are flexible and dynamic in our approach, just like the market. So now on USD CHF at the opening of the Asian session, to begin with, this red box right here and the 2 candles we have clearly in them at the Asian session. So right here we have the high of the day and the low of the day. The high of the day and the low of the day currently are the Asian high and low, as the market is just opening. So right here, the first candle of the day, we can see the buyers attempting to take momentum and shift the market up. However, they failed to break the high of yesterday. And the second half, we can see the sellers reversing the case. However, here we can see a classic AMD playing out as we already have the accumulation. Keep this concept in mind. The market buys to sell and the market sells to buy. Why does the market do this? The market does this because the market moves in tandem. The market always tries to balance an equal number of buyer and seller at all times. So when the buyers want to make money, they take money away from the sellers. Likewise, when the sellers want to make money, they take money away from the buyers. And this is possible because of liquidity generation in the market. So here we have a buy side liquidity to generate sell orders. So the buyers are here and now we have the sellers right here. So the second half of the Asian session, more buyers are induced, but it closes as a sell candle. So we expect another sell candle that comes down, close below the low of the day, breaks the structure down, further down, then we can conclude that the US dollar is going to weaken against the CHF. And mind you, the low of last week is already broken and we cannot see any strong buy pattern in this zone. So probably there will be a trend continuation and we just have a retest of some value gap right here. However, if reverse is the case and price continues to rally up forming bullish candles, then we make no conclusion on this pair. On USD JPY, at the opening of the Asian session, we can see buyers attempting to shift dominance, but the sellers push price down. With sellers pushing price down in this formation, we can see an accumulation of sell orders right here. So we expect more manipulation to the downside, inducing more sellers and a distribution up, so that this pair can continue to buy up. If this structure is broken, the high of yesterday is broken and price would continue to rally up. Mind you, right here at the opening of the Asian session, we can see this support broken. However, this is not a strong support, so it was already expected to be broken. So if price induces more sellers to the downside, pushes up and closes as a buy candle, then we can expect the US dollar to strengthen against the Japanese yen. However, if the price continues to go down and close as bearish candles, then we can expect a trend continuation to the downside. On AUD JPY, at the opening of the Asian session, we can see an indecision candle and the second half we can see sellers pushing price down. However, following from this, we expect a sell to buy as a sell side liquidity is already in place. So we expect an inducement of more sellers to the downside, then price pushing up and closing as a buy candle with one or two candles breaking the high of the day, breaking the high of yesterday. Then we can conclude that the AUD is going to buy further up. However, if reverse is the case and price continues to push down to break the low of the day and close as a bearish candle and push further down, then we can expect a continuation of a downtrend. On EURUSD, at the opening of the Asian session, we can see the sellers creating an accumulation here. However, there is no manipulation, so we do not expect a strong support around this area. If price moves to the low of the day, we can expect it to be broken. However, we expect a buy to sell, and if a buy to sell is to occur at the opening of the London session, we want to see manipulation of more buyers to the upside, then price coming down and closing as a bearish candle, breaking the low of the day, breaking the low of yesterday. Then we can conclude that the euro will weaken against the US dollar. On GBP USD, at the opening of the Asian session, we can see the buyers putting in pressure, however not great of a momentum, and the second half we can see the buyers pushing price further up. However, here we can expect a buy side liquidity for a sell, so we expect by the opening of the London session manipulation of more buy orders to the upside and price pushing down and closing as a bearish candle, breaking the low of the day, breaking the low of yesterday and pushing further down. Then we can conclude that the Great Britain pound will weaken against the US dollar. However, if reverse is the case and price pushes up, closes as a bullish candle, pushes further up, then we can expect a continuation of this bullish trend, creating series of lower highs, higher highs, lower highs, higher highs, lower highs, higher highs. USD CNH, try to do this analysis on your own. AUD USD, we can see a similar pattern to GBP USD, and the reason being is AUD USD, GBP USD, Euro USD, these are correlation pairs, and correlation pairs are just like siblings. They have similar personalities, they have similar traits, and they move in similar directions. So now, at the opening of the Asian session, we can see the buyers trying to maintain the dominance from yesterday, and second half we can see buyers attempting to push price further up. However, a buy side liquidity is seen here, and to confirm that, by the opening of the London session, we expect a manipulation of more buy orders to the upside, price to push down, close as a bearish candle, break the low of the day, push further down, break the low of yesterday. Then we can conclude that the AUD is going to weaken against the US dollar. On NZD USD, you can also see a similar pattern to AUD USD, and the reason being is the fact that they are correlation pairs. At the opening of the Asian session, we can see an indecision candle, and the second half you can see the buyers creating a dominance. However, not too much of an impulsive move, so we expect this as an accumulation, a buy side liquidity for a sell. So we expect the sellers to push price up, induce more buyers, and this London open candle to close as a bearish candle, break the low of the day, break the structure further down. Then we can conclude that the New Zealand dollar will weaken against the US dollar. Nevertheless, if reverse is the case and it closes as a bullish candle and pushes further up, then we can expect a continuation of this uptrend. On USD card, we can see that the USD pairs are down while the euros GBP are up. This is where correlation comes into place. At the opening of the Asian session, we can see an indecision candle, and the second half we can see the sellers in this zone. So the sellers here, this is an accumulation, so we expect a manipulation to the downside, inducing more sellers to take position and distribution to the upside, so the buyers can push price up, break the high of the day, break the high of yesterday. Then we can conclude a stronger US dollar against the Canadian dollar. And the psychology behind this is very simple. Yesterday we have the sellers right here placing their stops at the high of the day, and price is already down. So right here, if a reversal is going to happen after a liquidity grab, then we expect price to push up, stop out the sellers from the Asian session and stop out the sellers from yesterday. That is why a reversal is good. We are able to catch the beginning of the trend. The trend is your friend, but the beginning of the trend is your best friend. However, if reverse is the case and price pushes down and closes as a bearish candle and closes further down, then we have no conclusion on this pair. On Euro JPY, you can see classic AMD has already played out during the first half of the Asian session. However, this is a weak resistance. So if price shoots up to the high of the day, I expect this high of the day to be broken. If price retraces back here, now back to the analysis. At the opening of the Asian session, we can see the sellers pushing price down. However, they failed to break the low of yesterday, and the second half you can see sellers pushing price further down, generating a sell side liquidity for a buy. So we expect the buyers to induce sellers to take more position, push price up, break the first half of the Asian session, break the second half, and then we can conclude that the euro will strengthen against the Japanese yen and for price to push further up. And mind you, right here, the support right here is also a weak support, and we don't expect this to hold, as this will also be broken. On gold, we can see a similar pattern to the AUD USD, Euro USD and the likes, as these pairs have positive correlation. And mind you, Australia is the country with the most reserve of gold, so the direction of gold also influences the direction of the AUD pairs, as they are highly tied to each other in the global economy. So right here at the opening of the Asian session, we have the buyers attempting to take dominance, and we can see the high of yesterday broken and price pushing up impulsively as gold is in an all-time high. So still we expect a buy side liquidity for a sell. This is an accumulation, and to confirm this, we need a manipulation of more buy orders to the upside and a distribution to the downside by the London during the London session. Price to come down, break the low of the day, and drive further down, then we can expect a sell on gold. However, if reversal is the case and price continues to close as bullish candles and buy up, then we can have no conclusion on this pair. On silver, at the opening of the Asian session, we can see an indecision right here. However, the second half, you can see buyers pushing price up and creating a false weak support here. This is likely not going to hold, so we expect, as we are seeing a buy side liquidity for a sell here, so we expect a manipulation. We already have the accumulation right here. We expect the sellers to induce buyers to take more positions, go against them, price to come down with one or two candles and close as a bearish candle, push price down, then we can expect a sell on silver. On GJ, at the opening of the Asian session, we can see the buyers right here. However, they do not make an impactful move, and the second half we can see sellers pushing price further down. This is a sell side liquidity for a buy, so we expect an inducement for more sell orders to the downside and price to shoot up, close as a bullish candle, break the high of the day, break the high of yesterday, then we can conclude a buy on the Great Britain pound, a strengthening on the Great Britain pounds against the Japanese yen. On DXY, at the opening of the Asian session, you can see the buyers trying to shoot price up. However, they do not make an impactful move, and the second half you can see the sellers pushing price down. However, according to the counter trend, we expect a buy on this, as this is a sell side liquidity for a buy, but to confirm this we need an inducement of more sellers to the downside, price to shoot up and close as a bullish candle, break the high of the day, break the high of yesterday, then we can conclude a buy on DXY. On BTC USD, we see a similar pattern to that of gold, AUD USD, Euro USD and other correlation pairs. As the first half, you can see the buyers in this zone trying to live up to the expectation, pushing price further up. However, here we are seeing a buy side liquidity for a sell, and to confirm this we need more buyers to be deceived to the upside, and price should come down, close as a bearish candle, break the low of the day, break the low of yesterday, then we can conclude that the BTC will weaken against the US dollar. Plan your trade, trade your plan, and most importantly, manage your risk and emotions. If you find this content useful, like, share, subscribe, and follow for more.